Good day, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Interspeech 2020. It is wonderful that after 2 decades, our Chinese team is able to serve as host for this flagship conference again this year. 2020 is, of course, highly unusual and challenging for everyone. Our team has been trying our very best to adapt to the disruptive changes that came our way in migrating our planning from a physical conference to a hybrid one. And now, after numerous considerations and much hard work, we're proud to present the first fully virtual conference in the history of Interspeech. Although we're communicating online, our goal remains the same, which is to provide a collegial platform for our community to have fruitful exchanges in research and development, to celebrate our achievements, and to chart our way forward to new frontiers. Sincerest thanks to ISCA, our sponsors, our team, and all our participants. Please enjoy Interspeech 2020.
It's really a pleasure that the Institute of Automation of CAS is able to be the major host for this conference in China. The organizing team has spent many times on coordinating the various resources to ensure the success of the conference. I wish that it will bring us the great chance to exchange the innovative ideas and to have the great promotion for speech technologies.
20 years ago, ICSP was held in Beijing, but in the name of Interspeech, this is the first time in China. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we will have to have it virtually in the history of Interspeech for the first time. I sincerely wish you enjoy this online Interspeech 2020. Stay healthy and stay happy.
It's the first time the Interspeech changed to the virtual conference, but we still got many submissions with brilliant ideas. We thank for your kind contributions and thank area chairs and reviewers for your hard work to review and select papers. We are trying our best to create the most effective and convenient way of communication during the virtual conference. I hope all participants have the chance to exchange your great ideas and have the great promotion for speech technologies.
Hello, this year we got record-breaking paper submissions showing the exciting growth of our community. Although the conference is held virtually, we have tried our best to join everyone together to share ideas, exchange innovation, and promote communication. We look forward to meeting you online and hope you enjoy the conference. Thank you.
You're muted, Helen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Good day, everyone. I'm Helen Mang, General Chair of Interspeech 2020. In the following, I will give a brief overview of our conference. We have 2 gateways to enter the conference. One is our official website, and the other is the virtual conference portal, which is also shown on the front page of the website. To accommodate the different time zones around the world, we are arranging for most events to be scheduled within a 5-hour core period. Today and the last day are special, with the opening session and the closing session before and after the core period. Yesterday, for the tutorials, we have registered over 6,300 attendees from over 30 regions and countries around the world. On the official website, you will find that each paper has a PDF file and a 15-minute video for your viewing. The Q&A zone is where one can enter questions and comments, as well as corresponding responses about the paper. This setup is available throughout the conference until 7 days thereafter. A special feature this year is the stitched highlight videos of the papers for every session. Visitors can use this to get a 10 to 15-minute distillation of the entire session. To keep in touch with everyone, We maintain the conference app and also Twitter feeds and WeChat moments, which are supported by a group of wonderful volunteers. We're especially grateful to our sponsors for their unfailing support despite the great challenges faced by the global economy this year. Thank you. And please visit the virtual booths of our sponsors during the conference. There's also a link to the virtual booths on the front page of our website. Interspeech 2020 is organized by a wonderful team of speech and language researchers from academia and industry. And the team has worked extremely hard for the conference, and I wish to introduce them very briefly here. Although we are a virtual conference, the physical presence of Interspeech 2020 is a professionally equipped central control room that is situated in Beijing at the Institute of Automation in the Chinese Academy of Sciences. We have the technical staff members and volunteers working around the clock on live broadcasts and video feeds. This virtual conference platform of Interspeech 2020 is tailor-made for us by BAAI, the Beijing Academy of Artificial Intelligence, which is a nonprofit organization that supports collaboration in AI technologies. We thank them for the great support that has made our virtual conference possible. We hope everything will be running smoothly throughout the conference, but just in case you need urgent help, please find the emergency contact email and Zoom link here. These are monitored by our team members, Dr. Shan Liang and Dr. Yongwei Li. Now, I wish you a very enjoyable Interspeech 2020, and I will hand over to our technical program chairs for their overviews, starting with Professor Jianhua Tao. Jianhua, you have to be louder.
You have to be louder.
Could you hear
We're
me?
speech conference, louder.
Yeah. It's okay now?
Yes, now it's okay.
Oh, okay. So, hi everybody. So it's my pleasure to introduce a technical program of the Interspeech this year. So for this year, we have a very strong committee of the technical program, and we have 12. We have 13 areas, including the special session, and we have many area chairs. So this is a general list of the area chairs of all areas in for this year. And we have 8 tutorials and 4 keynotes and 110 technical sessions in blog over 4 days. We have 14 special sessions, and we also have 2 show and tell sessions, and also the 13 technical areas. And for the tutorials, we have very strong teams to organize tutorials. Actually, we got 12 proposals, and finally, we have 8 tutorials were from industry and academia were accepted. And the tutorial has been presented last day. And for the show and tell, and we have 2 chairs, and we selected 15 show and tells from the 20 proposals. And for each proposals, we have 4 reviewers, and this goes from the 1, 4, 1, 2, 3. And we also ask them to record the video for the presentation. And for the special session, we have 4 chairs, and we have 14 sessions, and we also have 6 challenges. So this is a list of the 6 challenges. I think it will also introduced by John. And this is the timeline. So we opened the submission of the papers in the February, and finally we make the decision of the notification is in the July, and now we change. Now it's a time for our conference. And this is the submission statistics. So we got the more than 2,000. It's actually it's 2,258 submissions. And in the history, this is the largest amount of the submission for the Interspeech. And we also have more than 100 with withdraw. And this is the valid submissions. And finally, we also make some death reject, and also may ask some papers to withdraw directly. And there is 2,103 submissions for reviews. And this is a distribution of the submissions, largest from China and the United States and Japan, India. And this is United Kingdom. This is the top 5 submissions. And this is the submissions for the area. So we see most of the areas in some balance. And for the track 7 and the track 8 or the track 5, we have more than 200. And for the others, and also for the special sessions, we also have more than 200. And this is reviewer distributions. So most reviewers are located from the 54 countries, and we also have the most of them are from United States and China, Japan, France, and Germany. This is top 5 reviewers for the distribution. And this is the assignment of the reviewers. So we see most reviewers reviewed from the 4 to 6 papers, but some of them are very active, review more than 10 papers, and some of them very few. And this is a review form. And in general, so we keep the same of the review form as last year. And so the category of the item is importance and the relevance for the Interspeech, and the reviewer's confidence, and also the reviewer recommendation. And also, we also ask them to make some nomination for the best paper award, and also some details comments. And for the quality of the paper, we ask the reviewer to make some comments on the novelty and originality and the technical correctness and the clarity of the presentation, and also the quality of the reference and the reproducibility. And also, we ask them to make some explanation of the quality of the paper. Okay, this is some details of the comments for the committee. And this is the final score, and the score formula we used for the comments. So we have just have some brief introduction for that. So for this year, someone makes some argument for the reproducibility, and for these items, someone thinks this might be not important, but we still keep it as last year. And for this one, the large one, the largest weight, the biggest weight is overall recommendation, and we think this is the most important. Okay. And this is acceptance rate. So totally we accept 1,021 papers, and we reject this part. So I wish you a good, healthy, and enjoy your time in the speech. Thank you. And I switched the presentation to my colleagues, Kai Yu.
Dear colleagues, we are very delighted to welcome you online to attend Interspeech 2020. I'm Kai Yu from Shanghai Jiao Tong University, and I'd like to introduce how you participate in the technical sessions. In this year, we got over 100 technical sessions covering over 1,000 papers, so it's quite a lot. And there's no distinction between poster and oral, so every session will be equal to each other. There are 2 portals to access our sessions. So first portal is our official website. It actually includes papers, 15-minute full video, and the stitched 1-minute highlight video. Also, you can use the official website to type in your text-based Q&A so that your questions will be seen by the session chair. But the main portal for attending the sessions is via the virtual conference portal. It has the live broadcast and online chat Q&A. To find your session, you need to log in to our BAAI portal, which is the Zoom portal. From the schedule, you can see your session name. Once you enter the session, you need to click the Join the Zoom webinar button to join the webinar. Once you join the webinar, there are several reminders. For authors and for presenters and session chairs, please set one of the Interspeech 2020 virtual backgrounds. And also, please set your Zoom name correctly so that our volunteers can recognize you easily. And the format is as following. There will be live broadcast of all sessions. The basic arrangement is we have 5 minutes per paper, including a 60 to 90 second highlight video plus Q&A session. For some sessions, there will be more papers than 12, and those sessions will run into coffee break. A kind reminder to the presenter, if you'd like to play multimedia materials to the audience, please make sure the computer audio is enabled so that everyone can hear the sound. And there are 2 ways for audience to ask questions. The first way is the online way. You need to use the raise hand function and wait for the session chair's cue so that you can ask questions via speech. Also, you can type in your question via the chat function, and then the session chair will coordinate. The second way to ask a question is via the Interspeech 2020 official website. You can find the technical program and then type in your questions into the Q&A zone. The session chairs would see all the questions and deliver it via the live session. Finally, it's the coffee breaks. We will provide scenery pictures, cultural videos, and museum palace virtual tours during each coffee break. So we'd like you to enjoy your coffee over the virtual coffee breaks. And next, we hope all of you enjoy Interspeech 2020. Next, we will play a short video of the Queen Tree Opera, which is a traditional opera near Shanghai region. And then we will welcome Professor John Hansen to deliver his speech. So next, we would like to welcome the ISCA President, Professor John Hansen, to deliver a presidential speech.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whichever part of the world you're participating. It's 4 a.m. my time here in Dallas. I'm John Hansen. I serve as president of ISCA, and I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of our colleagues, friends, and students that are participating in this year's Interspeech 2020 event, being held virtually here from Shanghai, China. I'll give a brief overview of ISCA and some of the logistics that you'll see this week for the conference. First, as Helen had noted, this is a global conference, so we identify different time zones that people might be in. The main opening session today, all the technical programs will take place during the week. We'll have the closing session on Thursday in the later portion of the day. First, I'd like to extend a warm thanks to the Interspeech 2019 organizers, both Gernot Kupin as well as Strako Kashish, who served as general chairs for Interspeech 2019. It was only a year ago, but it seems like it was much longer given the constraints and logistics that the world has undertaken over the last 8 to 10 months due to COVID-19. I'd also like to recognize the technical program chairs, Thomas Hain and Bjorn Schuler, for all of the work that this team did last year in organizing Interspeech in Graz, Austria. Next, unfortunately in life, things change, and this year we've lost 4 of our colleagues who have been long-term contributors and inspirational individuals for our society. Sherry Honeycutt, Ann Tridell, John O'Hala, and Jack Godfrey. I'll say a brief word on each of them and how they impacted our society, and then we'll have a moment of silence in recognition of our colleagues. First, Sherry Honeycutt. Sherry was part of the MIT team that built MIT Talk in the 70s. She worked also and inspired what was to become the Texas Speech Synthesis System, DEC Talk, which was one of the standard and most used Texas speech synthesis platforms at the time. In 1981, Sherry joined KTH in Stockholm, Sweden, where she worked on linguistics and aspects of speech synthesis. She's had a strong contributing impact in the field for speech synthesis, and she also focused on integrating linguistic aspects into the high quality speech synthesis work in her career. Sherry was also a person who designed the linguistic models for the KTH's multimodal Waxholm dialogue system. And she's deeply missed by both friends and colleagues around the world. Next, Ann Tridell was instrumental in making contributions to speech synthesis based on psychology breakthroughs. In the academic field, she studied speech in Minnesota, as well as Haskins Laboratory in Connecticut and also in Guatemala. And she also was a researcher or faculty member here at UT Dallas before she received a 5-year NIH Career Award. She spent time at MIT working with Ken Stevens and Dennis Klatt, as well as also at KTH in Sweden with Gunnar Font. And then joined AT&T Bell Laboratories, where she developed the first synthetic female voice. And at Shannon Labs, she also worked on the AT&T Natural Voices. The system became exceptionally well received in the field and was later launched as a product by AT&T Bell Laboratories. The textbook here we see at the bottom right is one of the lead textbooks from many of the contributions from her work. She also established the ANSI standard here for Texas speech synthesis systems. John O'Hala was a leading pioneer in the linguistics field. He's a professor emeritus in linguistics at UC Berkeley. He also served as president of the International Phonetic Association and also was general chair of ICSLP in Banff, Canada, the second ICSLP conference in the area, which ultimately was merged with Eurospeech to establish the Interspeech Conference Series. He served also as general chair of the 14th International Congress on Phonetic Sciences in San Francisco. And he's a fellow of the Acoustical Society of America, the Linguistic Society of America, the American Association for Advancement of Sciences, and also, of course, an ISCA fellow. And John was a staunch supporter of ISCA and a regular attendee at Interspeech. And he had extensive knowledge in the field. I will also say if you interacted with John during the many trips or conferences for Interspeech, he was a jokester and told very bad jokes, but people remembered him obviously for the technical and innovative impact he had in both conferences and his work. And the last individual we're recognizing is Jack Godfrey. Jack received his PhD in linguistics from Georgetown University here in the States. His early career focused on psycholinguistics at Air Force Research Lab and at UT Dallas, where he was an assistant associate professor as well at the Collier Center here in Dallas. He later went on to join Texas Instruments and continued his contributions there for the legendary Speak and Spell system that TI released. He was also the first executive director of the Linguistics Data Consortium and drove many of the corpus-based research and development efforts in the human language technology community. He served as chief of human language technology research at the National Security Agency here in the US and continued to provide a lot of direction and leadership in HLT in the field. He was a dedicated husband, father, and friend, and mentor, and loved fishing and woodworking, which you can kind of see from the photo down here. And now my screen seems to be frozen. So at this moment, I'd like to ask that we take a moment to remember our colleagues, not only for their technical and scientific contributions to the field, but also for the impact and motivation they've had both for students, colleagues, as well as friends and family and loved ones that they've inspired and impacted in their lives. We could take just a moment to reflect on our four colleagues here. Sherry, Ann, John, and Jack, you'll be greatly missed by all of us here at ISCA and Interspeech. Moving forward here, there'll be more details on ISCA, which we'll update in the General Assembly, which will take place tomorrow. Please join us in the session tomorrow later in the afternoon. For ISCA, this represents our board. There have been no changes in the past year. Everyone has been contributing in a variety of different areas. If you have interest in participating in ISCA, and maybe might want to consider serving on the ISCA board, the next ISCA board election will take place in 2021, next year. Nominations will open in January and voting will take place April 2021. Please consider either nominating your colleague or letting someone know that they would like to run. Thank you. Next, I'd like to highlight the upcoming conferences for Interspeech and in Brno, Czech Republic for Interspeech 2021, Incheon, Korea for Interspeech 2022, and Dublin, Ireland for Interspeech 2023. There'll be more highlights from these three locations in the closing ceremony on Thursday. Next, just to mention a little bit on the membership. ISCA has obviously grown dramatically since we were started in 2001. We originally had 2,021 members in 2001. Ironically, that's the number of papers that were actually accepted at this Interspeech. We continued to grow over the years, and in 2016, we reached 1,987 attendees. And there was a strategic increase that took place after 2016 over the last 5 years. We're now sitting at over 2,500 attendees, members in the society. And one of the strategic things was, in addition to the 2,500 members, that over the last 4 years, we've had roughly between 700 or so student members. So it's been roughly a 200 student increase over the last 5 years, and that has been sustained. So we're very pleased to see the student participation in ISCA. It's really critical for the future of our society. Next, just to move on to the finances, Mark Hasegawa Johnson serves as our ISCA board member and treasurer, and the ISCA financial status is very good. We maintained an Interspeech risk fund, which conference organizers can draw from if there are challenges. Last year, we have not yet received the funds from Interspeech 2019. That's in the process of being transferred. And so each year, sometimes you'll see that the income and expenditures might be somewhat uneven, but that's because the funds may not arrive until the following year. So you can see 2 years here where the funds were a little bit higher and 2 years where they're a little bit lower. So we'll have a higher year in 2020 when we receive the funds from 2019. There'll be more information about the financial status and the treasurer's report in the General Assembly tomorrow. In terms of some strategic committee activities, I wanted to highlight the ISCA's Diversity Committee that's chaired by Odette, Mark Hasegawa Johnson, and external member Julia Hirschberg. This year, we added 3 additional members, Heidi Christensen, Gail Jochum, and Sebastian Muller, who's also on the ISCA board. And so this 6-person team is overseeing all aspects of diversity for our society. That includes gender diversity, as well as regional diversity for representation, science versus technology, and academic, industry, and government representation. This past year, the Diversity Committee has focused on all forms of diversity to improve membership in our community support. If you have any questions or suggestions, please email the diversity@isca-speech.org. Diversity includes all aspects of gender, region, and science and technology. This past year, the effort was focused on tracking diversity on gender so far, but they will be broadening to ethnicity and sexual orientation, and a questionnaire will be coming out shortly to gather further information from our membership. There will be a diversity meeting that's part of the Interspeech conference that'll take place here today, Monday, between 9 and 10 p.m. Shanghai time, so check the Zoom links. In addition to that, the ISCA board is organizing an LGBT meeting that will take place on Tuesday. This is to support individuals that have interest in this area. And so if you would like to attend that ISCA organized LGBT session, please send email to diversity@iscaspeech.org. And the Diversity Committee is also working on an ISCA statement on diversity. In addition, Tetsuya and the ISCA board put forth our code of conduct for conferences and workshop attendees. And ISCA is committed to providing a pleasant and supportive conference experience without harassment or discrimination for anyone, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, race, religion, disability, or physical appearance. Conference participants who engage in inappropriate behavior may be expelled without a refund and may be included on an ISCA watch list. So if you are participating in any ISCA event, if you see anything that you find issue or trouble with, please send email to ethics at our website here. All communications will be held confidentially, and there's an internal committee that will assess and get back with you on any issue that may be raised. In addition to the code of conduct, we also have the code of ethics. This involves primarily the publication process. So for all publications, no fabrication, falsification, or data breach is allowed. No self-plagiarism is allowed, and we want all authors to respect copyrights and human rights issues with respect to their publications. and all co-authors must be responsible and accountable for content of their submissions. Any submissions that might be determined to be a violation will be reviewed by a committee, and we've had several that have been identified, and there is a small, unfortunate number of individuals that are on the current ISCA watch list. So please refer to the ISCA website and the ISCA pad for more information about the code of ethics for our authors. I'd also like to highlight the ISCA Student Advisory Committee, the ISCA SAC. This committee has been extremely active over the last 5 to 10 years with great expansion on student participation. Iona Gessinger is the student general coordinator, and there's a number of student members that are serving on the ISCA SAC. There's also a number of volunteers and active alumni who are students that we're pleased to say have graduated from being students. If any of the students that are participating in Interspeech this conference have interest in participating or be involved in the SAC, we strongly encourage you to reach out to either Iona or to Odette and let them know that you have interest in being a member or having a contribution to the SAC. In addition to that, ISCA also maintains the ISCA Advisory Council. This consists of a number of individuals that have either organized or have participated in a strategic, scientific, or technical way to interspeech conferences. The IAC consists of a number of members that serve 3-year terms. We also have a number of individuals that are involved either in publications or past presidents or have served in other capacities for either speech communication or computer speech and language, so in terms of managing editors. We will be seeking nominations to recruit additional IAC members this fall. If you have interest, please contact us and let us know. We're very happy to incorporate additional feedback from our IAC members. And I have one slide here that took place last week. We held our ISCA Advisory Council meeting. And I think we had maybe 4 or 5 images of the meeting of different people that are attending. So we really thank the ISCA Advisory Council for their input. They provide valuable technical as well as logistics feedback for both current and future planning for both conferences, workshops, and our society. Next, I'd like to kind of highlight some key dates and times here for nominations. So bids for Interspeech 2024 are now open. The closing date will be December 15th of this year. If you have interest in organizing Interspeech 2024, please contact us. The ISCA Scientific Medal as well as the Service Medal nominations are now open. The closing date will be January 5th of next year. The ISCA Fellows nominations are also now open, and the closing date is February 10th. And the ISCA Board nomination is now open, opens January 1st and closes March 1st. So if you have an interest in serving on the board, please let us know. And finally, the Christian Benoit Award, which is awarded every 2 years. The nominations for the Christian Benoit Award, it opens February 1st and closes May 15th. And we would very much like to encourage nominations for the Christian Benoit Award. There's a financial support for young researchers in the area, and we'd like to get a few nominations to consider by the committee. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the ISCA events that are taking place here at Interspeech 2020. First, the student and young science travel grants. There were 121 awards given this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Normally, the cash awards are roughly 500 euros because this year the award includes registration fee and ISCA membership. Because of the lower costs, we were able to increase the number of awards to 121. Typically, there's about 60 or 61 awards each year. So we've doubled them this year. The doctoral consortium took place earlier this weekend, and the student mentoring event will take place later today. And the ISCA General Assembly, as I noted, will take place tomorrow. And finally, the Student Meet Experts event will take place on Wednesday. So we strongly encourage students to participate in the mentoring event today and the Student Meets Experts on Wednesday. And these are the recipients of the Interspeech 2020 travel grants. We'd like to congratulate all students and young researchers that were awarded travel grants this Interspeech. Next, we'll move on to the awards and recognition phase of the opening ceremony here. Torbjorn Svensson has overseen the grants and awards for Interspeech or for ISCA, and Torbjorn is coordinating the Best Student Paper Awards for this Interspeech. He will be presenting the recipients of the Best Paper Awards in the closing ceremony on Thursday. There are 13 Best Student Paper finalists. One is being presented today. There are 3 that are being presented on Wednesday. And a 4th one on Wednesday, and the remaining on Thursday. There are 2 here on Thursday and an additional 3 on Thursday. So, additional 4 on Thursday. So 13 papers altogether, all by young student awardees. So I would encourage you, if you can, to sit in on some of these sessions where student best paper awards are being considered. I also like to thank the review committee that is reviewing each of these student paper finalists for the best paper awards. Next, I'd like to invite Phil Green, who is ISCA board member and oversees the fellows program for ISCA. Phil?
Thank you, John. Hello, everyone. So every year, ISCA awards a number of fellowships. The number of awards depends on how many ISCA members there are, according to Hansen's algorithm. It's most commonly 6, and that's the case this year. There is a committee which does the fellow selection, and thanks to Isabel Trancoso and the other members of this year's selection committee, which Isabel chaired. Next year, Val Hazan will be the chair. As John mentioned, we're about to start the process of nomination for next year's awards. They're effectively open now, but I will send around reminders as soon as this conference is over. Every nomination has to supply 4 referees who must be senior people in the ISCA community. We've relaxed the rules on exactly who they can be this year. And the fellow selection committee comes to its decision in March. So let's now look at this year's awards. John? So normally we ask people to come up on stage as they're announced, but that would be rather difficult just now. So I'll read them out, but I believe there is some applause to hand. So congratulations to Paavo Alku for contributions to voice source analysis and its applications. There you are. A fellow is awarded this certificate and also a plaque and the sort of general appreciation of the whole community. Congratulations again, Paavo. Next, Jim. Catherine Best has been awarded an ISCA Fellowship for contributions to non-native speech perception, bilingualism, and language acquisition. Well done, Catherine. Martin Cook, who's he? Ex-colleague of mine, of course, has been awarded an ISCA Fellowship for contributions to speech perception modelling, robust speech recognition, and objective intelligibility models. Thomas Hine is a fellow for his leadership in the field of automatic speech recognition. Well done, Thomas. Satoshi Nakamura, his citation reads, for contributions to research on multilingual and cross-lingual spoken language communication systems. And lastly, Bjorn Scholler. His citation is for contributions to computational paralinguistics and research and leadership in the speech processing community. So well done, Bjorn, or well done, everyone.
Thank you very much, Phil.
Ah,
okay.
I thought I was talking to this one.
Yeah, you go ahead. You can. Go ahead.
Okay. This is just to briefly summarize the history of the Fellowship Awards. We've now awarded 81 fellowships, and it dates back to 2008. And here are the rogues galleries. Quickly, I'm not going to read out names, obviously, but everyone whose papers you've read with admiration is in there somewhere. Okay, thank you very much. I think this concludes the fellowship presentations.
Thank you, Phil. Normally, I would shake everyone's hand and present the certificates and plaques, but we appreciate and recognize all of our ISCA fellows, and hopefully we'll have a time where we'll be able to bring you up on stage maybe next year and congratulate you in person there. Thank you very much, Phil, and for all the work done to recognize our fellows. Next, we're going to move to the ISCA Medal program. So the ISCA Special Service Medal is awarded and recognizes an individual who's made extraordinary contributions to promoting the Speech Communications Association. Historically, ISCA has only recognized 4 individuals over the past 20 years for this honor. So it's actually awarded quite rarely. The ISCA board reviewed actually quite a few people that have had really strong strategic impact in our society. This is our 20th anniversary, and we felt that there were a number of very, very deserving individuals that should be recognized for ISCA service. And so this year we moved forward to seek out nominations and completed a blind review process for voting. And we came to the consensus and conclusion that our society will be recognizing 4 recipients this year for the ISCA Service Medal. So the first recipient is Isabel Trancosa for sustained service for ISCA and the speech communication community in terms of leadership, outreach, and society recognition. And here is her certificate and her plaque, and she will be receiving the ISCA Service Medal at a later time. Congratulations, Isabel. Next, we'll recognize Julia Hirschberg, who will receive the ISCA Medal for Special Service. And her citation is for help in shaping the speech communication community and advancing gender diversity in terms of membership and recognition in the field of speech communication. Congratulations, Julia Hirschberg. For those of you who are speech and audio processing people, I hope you notice that every applause is actually different. Next is Roger Moore for service in the establishment, leadership, and international growth of ISCA. Most of you know that Roger played an instrumental role in bridging the two communities of the Permanent Council of ICSLP and Interspeech in helping form ISCA as an international community. Roger, congratulations. And our fourth recipient is Sadauki Furui for inspiring leadership and building bridges across the international speech communications community. Congratulations, Sadauki. So we recognize all four of our recipients for the ISCA Service Medal and deciding how to ensure that we could highlight this in Shanghai. We were fortunate that Helen was able to have discussions with Hong Kong, and right at this very moment, they had planned a fireworks display in order to recognize our four recipients. And so let's see if this will take place. So congratulations to Isabel, Roger, Julia, and Sadauki for your outstanding service and impact to our community. Okay, they played twice. All right, finally, we'll move on to the last award, and that is the ISCA Medal for Scientific Achievement. So the ISCA Medal recognizes and honors one individual each year who has made extraordinary contributions to the field of speech communication, science, and technology. We seek out nominations from the ISCA community January 1st, and the full nominations are reviewed by the ISCA board with a blind voting process. This year, it gives me great pleasure to announce that the recipient of the ISCA Scientific Medal is Janet Humbert from Oxford University for contributions to phonology. And here is her certificate. She will also be receiving the actual medal shortly. And while we don't have applause, we were able to get fireworks from Shanghai. So I'd like to ask Janet if she would say a few words on behalf of the ISCA Scientific Medal Award.
Thank you so much, John, and thanks to the ISCA community. Are you actually seeing me on your screen? Can I show my plaque? Here's my actual plaque, and I'm just incredibly proud and moved to receive this award. One reason is I've believed from the start of my career that progress in speech communication really requires an alliance between science and engineering. And that's because the engineered systems need to behave like humans and anticipate what humans will do, and in many ways, incorporate the main scientific discoveries. but just as much, the engineers often notice things the scientists overlooked, important patterns, and they provide instrumentation and methodology. So it's absolutely a two-way street. And I feel like ISCA has just been amazingly successful at maintaining this alliance. And the other reason is that it's a truly international community. So language is a human capability that we all share. And so to understand that capability, we need the involvement of people who speak all different languages and understand the systems of all different languages. And ISCA has maintained cooperation amongst all these people. And in the current circumstances, it really is a model for all technical fields. We need that sort of cooperation more than we've ever needed it before. So thank you all again. I'm just remarkably thrilled to get this award.
Thank you very much, Janet. So at this point, just kind of give a little bit of logistics for the keynote talk here that Janet will be, that we'll have. First, for the scientific medal presentation, we've recorded, Janet's recorded a video. And so if you have questions during the Q&A phase, you can either raise your hand or post a question in the Q&A space. So raise your hand first here. And the scientific medal presentation will be recorded and shared after the event on the conference website. So if you have questions, we encourage you to raise them either verbally through raise hand and ask the question, or to type them in the Q&A phase. I'd like to introduce Mark Hezagella Johnson, who will introduce Janet and the ISCA board member, who will introduce Janet's keynote talk. So Mark.
Thank you, John. I've been asked to introduce Janet, and then during her presentation, I'll be monitoring the chat for questions that you might have for the speaker, and I will be moderating questions as necessary after the talk is over. It's remarkably difficult to summarize a career as extensive as that of Professor Pierre Humbert in just 60 seconds, but I just wanted to point to two contributions, one early and one quite recent. First of all, she demonstrated that intonation is a linguistic phenomenon governed by discrete units by, in fact, creating a grammar of intonation. And that grammar that she published in 1980 has stood the test of time remarkably well, is still one of the models on which all current models of prosody are developed and tested. Much more recently, Professor Pierre Humbert has been influential in trying to mediate the relationship between episodic and abstract categorical representations in phonology, in the storage in memory and application in practice of our representations of what phonetic segments actually are in human processing. And so, John, if you can go on to the next slide, I wanted to list some of her several current positions. She's a senior research fellow at Trinity College and a professor of language modeling and engineering, and also a faculty member in the Faculty of Linguistics. She is a fellow of many societies. I wanted to list that she's a fellow of the Guggenheim Memorial Foundation, of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and a member of the US National Academy of Sciences. So without further ado, Professor Pierre Humbert, please continue.
Thank you so much for the great introduction. I did pre-record the speech. I thought it was going to be more robust, and so in a minute they're going to cut over to my recording, and I'm not sure I was as coherent in the middle of the night when I was recording as Mark and John have been, but they're about to play the recording, and then we'll come back for the questions. So I'll be live. Thank you.
Janet, on behalf of ISCA and the Speech Communications Society, again, we congratulate you on remarkable contributions and impact, and we look forward here to your keynote talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm assuming right now we'll switch to the video.
John, actually, this would be a good time for that applause audio that you had recorded.
Quick, I gotta get. I'll play something. Let's see if I can get. Rats. I don't have it handy right now.
Let me perhaps go on to questions. Janet, there's one question already that I think you've seen from Ken Church in the comments. He asks, in BERT, word formation rules are very limited. Either a word is known or it's backed off to subword units. And he's asking, do you think there's an opportunity for word formation rules that combine known words with morphemes?
Yes, so absolutely. This is the main area that my DPhil student, Valentin Hoffmann, is looking into. He's being co-supervised by me and Henrik Schütze in Munich. And we've done some evaluations of BERT specifically. BERT is more successful than you might think in getting derivational morphology, but it is limited by the pieces going in. That is, it uses this segmentation algorithm called word piece, which has very little linguistic basis. I'm not very happy with that. And if you manage to segment the input better, then the overall approach of a transformer model can get quite a bit of improvement over BERT. And then I'm sure that there will be a next generation beyond BERT. So I think in general, the initial results were a lot better than I thought, but there's still, it's a hard road ahead, and there's going to be a lot of work, particularly to get the more abstract generalizations.
Thank you. Klaus Rees has a question. He says that you may find non-native users of language on Reddit and other data sources, and asks, how do you account for that?
Well, let's see, sampling bias is a big problem for all of these projects. And with Reddit, it has the advantage that the entire database is available and the size is enormous compared to what we used to have. You know, what are you actually sampling? Obviously, the users tend to be younger, they tend to be more male, and also, in a way, we're talking about some sort of international standard English and not about the native English of London or various other locations. So I think it is you know, it's a bona fide example of linguistic behavior and the generative power of the system. But if you wanted to have more insight into L1 versus L2 language, you definitely have to look at some other data sets, and the problem would be getting ones that were as big as you wanted.
Did you do any kind of...
it is really important to go down into these really low word frequencies. I mean, a huge amount of research on morphology has been based on what's probably the 3% most frequent words, which gets you only the Oxford English Dictionary. And so much of what people do is just some people doing it sporadically, and that's what you really want to understand. Now I'm gonna, for the people, the tech people, let's see, I'm not seeing any picture of myself. Are the rest of you seeing a screen with Mark and me, or are they just seeing Mark and hearing me?
I'm seeing you and Mark and John.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Okay, yeah. That's fine. Good. So Mark, did you identify any more questions?
So I actually had a question. I really like your analogy of parsing to a linear transformation, and your claim that this makes it much more learnable. But on the other hand, in your 2016 paper, you were talking about all of these details that are remembered of the the indexical features of the
Oh, so I think I get the drift of your
things like
question,
that.
even though you're freezing
And I
up.
wonder,
okay,
sorry about my internet.
so I think you're, okay, I pulled a fast one. I'm going to admit that I pulled a fast one because what is known to be learnable and what is known to be a linear system would be parsing the discrete representation and determining whether it's valid or not. So, you know, if you have the signal all categorized already, then it is demonstrably true because of results from Valiant that you can, you know, accept or reject that and do that in a way that builds the whole structure for you. And of course, people there's some controversy about how to do that. People like, you know, Ellison and Kornai and others didn't all come to the same solution, but it's plainly doable. And since I think Ken Church is on, I should mention that Ken Church's master's thesis used parsing as a treatment of syllable structure and showed how to do that with a sparse matrix multiplication. Okay, but now how did you get it that categorized in the first place? And how do you make the decisions if the quantitative signal is ambiguous? I am not going to claim that that is demonstrably learnable. I'm only claiming that that's learnable. And it does seem to, it seems to be the case that we need to bring to bear some real experience with speech motor control and what sort of results we get in order to carry out that task. Right. Because you know, you're in cases of ambiguous signals, for example, you're going to be very biased towards estimating that it came from something that was a smooth or realistic series of articulatory gestures. And then, you know, I think that's so basically you're kind of stabilizing a perception action loop there, and you really need to have the experience to do it.
So are you suggesting that in a sense, parsing is the bottleneck that forces people to create categorical representations?
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, I like that. I would say that's an implication of what I said, and I like that.
Something like the perception action loop.
Yeah. And unlike and you know, the other thing about phonology is it has the job of linearizing representations that are not actually linear. I mean, if you look at the deep semantic representations, they are sort of meta-level characterizations where the same thing can be present in different places, and then the job of the phonology is getting that into a format that can be produced and understood in time. So phonology, the phonological domain is kind of nicely flattened out compared to things like evaluating WH pronouns or the scope of you know, the scope of quantifiers, things like that.
So going back to Ken Church's question about BERT, then does that suggest that maybe BERT is learning something like categories at some point in its point in its processing, or would it benefit from an additional stage where, so if the goal of a neural network is to predict the morphology of the words that are coming up in the sentence, does it benefit from having additional layers of categorical or semi-categorical classification?
Yeah, so BERT is weirdly successful. And one reason it does have effects at multiple timescales. And so, you know, it is trained on basically a closed test. You know, you drop the whole training regime depends on dropping out a word and then trying to predict what it was. And that is how the model is optimized, and it can even use the previous sentence to make that model and what is you know, mentioned in the previous sentence, for example. You know, John and I went to the zoo. John admired the and it's going to think tiger is more likely than belt buckle. Now, I think it's actually rather weak on the abstract structures, and that's why it is. It's actually doing pretty badly at some things people are great at. Like it's been demonstrated that it's terrible at negation. Or if you just take a sentence and negate it, it is not processing that correctly and cannot predict that the sentence completion should be different. And that's because so far it doesn't have the ability to, it's lacking the limitations on what, based on what we know about the scope of operators and what that means for the meaning.
Thanks. We have a question from Yenkai. Yenkai, I've given you permission. Can you ask your question?
His microphone is muted.
Yenkai, you have talking permitted, but your microphone is muted. If you could unmute your microphone, please. All right, that seems to be not working. Well, I think we have 1 minute left in the session, so I think maybe at this point it would be appropriate to thank you, Janet, very much for your contributions to phonology for the past several decades and for the decade to come, and for the really thought-provoking work that you've done and presented here today. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all, and I am just amazed and impressed by the organizers and what they've pulled off in terms of coordinating this whole event so far and making it run smoothly. So thanks to all of you, and especially to the organizers.
Thank you very much, Janet. At this time, I'd like to ask if Janet and the ISCA service medalists and all the ISCA fellows that have been awarded this year, if you could turn your videos on, we'd like to get a group photo. I would personally like to shake your hand literally and thank you, each of you, but because of social distancing, we can't do this, but at least to have a group picture would be good. So please turn your videos on. And I think one of the technical staff from the organizing committee will be taking a picture, I think.
I cannot start my video. Sorry.
But we have a great picture of you, Isabel, already there, I think. Bjorn, can you turn your video on?
The host has stopped it somewhere.
Bjorn, can you get on, Bjorn? I kept asking, I see the host try to ask you to open your camera.
Yes, I also asked the technical supporter to open all videos.
So maybe the group picture should be without the three of us, right? And then we have one with the three of us. So let's maybe Jiahua and Kai, let's switch off ourselves and let the technical staff take a picture first. Okay.
It seems Bjorn is not online at the moment. Maybe it's BTS.
Yeah, well, he is online, but maybe he's not around. Okay, now we can take a picture with the three of us, maybe.